I'm Joe LaForest. I'm one of the other folks here at the Bugwood Center here in Tifton, Georgia. And as Chuck mentioned, I'm talking to you today about projects, what they are and how they work. The reason I'm on this talk is because we've been using projects more on the agricultural side of what EDDMapS does. And a lot of what was built out for this was bringing that back over to the natural area side and helping to make those two concepts work together. As Chuck pointed out, partnerships are a big thing that we do. It's one of the reasons our program's been successful as it has, because we don't try to do it alone. It would be really silly for us to try. Without partners dealing with the local issues and us supporting them, our programs wouldn't be nearly as successful. In working with those partners, frequently we're behind the scenes. People may not know that we actually exist or what's going on. And what we've been doing with projects takes that to a step further. That in some cases where you're trying to have an outreach program and work with people to track a certain issue going on, it needs to have the branding and identity associated with your group. And so how do we make that work in a system that EDDMapS is covering a whole lot of stuff? How do we tailor that down to what your particular needs may be? So why have a project as the concept we put it in here? The first one that Chuck brought up, keeping reports together for access and data management. If you have people reporting data and it's going into a project, you have an easy way to pull that information together and see what's going on within your campaign. You get a better connection to your data collection network because you know who's reporting into it. You know who's participating in a campaign you've put out there. So it helps you keep an eye on what's going on and start making connections with them. And what we're rolling out is branded communication with those partners, a system for you to be able to track where those folks are, send messages directly to different segments of your audience to help encourage them to continue. That's different than just a general appeal to the public on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever you're trying to reach them. This is more directed to people who have at least shown interest already. You also get access to some special features. Chuck's brought up photo points. There's a system in there for actually generating forecasts for where insects, diseases, or other things may be going on. The monitoring zones that Trisha's going to talk about. Site-based monitoring tools where you have traps, trapping for different moths or other things in the field. All of that needs a project to organize who has access to it, who can do data entry, who can use these different tools. So if any of those features are something you want to be able to do, you first need a project and then we can turn those on for you. So in creating a project, it's a simple process. We're opening this up to anyone that wants to do it. It's a feature we now have on EDDMapS. We're asking you to tell us about your project and decide, is this going to be something you have a small group that you're going to keep closed, you're going to add the members yourself, you're not really advertising it, but you want to use it to group things together? Or is this something you want to promote publicly and let anybody know it exists and recruit people into your campaigns? Are you focusing on all species in a given area or only a few? A lot of the agricultural programs I work with, they're looking at a handful of key pests affecting a commodity, as opposed to some of the groups saying, well, here's my park or my area I'm trying to protect. I care about all taxa. And then who are the leaders? Who are the people that we're likely going to reach out to see what needs you have, how to improve the programs, and other people also working with you are going to reach out to know who those points of contact are. So in creating a project, fairly straightforward. You've already gone into My EDDMapS. On the left-hand side, there's a drop-down for projects, and there's an option for create projects. Here you've got the basic information. Give your project a name so people know what to call it. A description, which tells us more about it. A project URL, if you already have a website set up and established for it. Is this project one you want us to advertise out to the public or not? There are good cases for both. And then who are your administrators that will be part of this project? They already have to have EDDMapS accounts to get the project started. You had to log in to get to this point anyway. And if there are a list of subjects you're concerned about, here's where you put that in. You can also then go to the dashboard after your project is created, go to Manage Project, you'll see the exact same information. The only thing not showing up on here is the ability to add administrators from this page, because you've already done that. And that'll be covered more in the user management part of what you can do with projects. So you can always come back, tweak and adjust these things as your project continues to grow and evolve. And as I mentioned before, features that are available upon request, controlling who are the verifiers over a given set of species, and managing experts. Experts in our system are individuals that if they report, we trust they know what that report is. The report would automatically be verified and show up on the maps immediately. And the things for site-based monitoring, photo points, monitoring zones, publishing those forecasts. These are additional ones that any of the administrators of EDDMapS can enable for you, and just make sure you have the training to know how to use those tools. In the future, we'd love to get those to be something you can turn on yourself, but we haven't gotten the user friendliness of that to the point that we're comfortable doing that. Next comes in adding your brand. This is all about an identity that when people see it, they're going to know this was part of your project and what was going on. We've made that pretty straightforward. This is what I was working on for University of Arkansas. They're going to be using us this year for a lot of their ag monitoring. And they've got their logo they've added in. They've got the accent color they want for their messages. They have different links for their social media where people can find them and contact information. Every email that gets sent out from the system for anyone reporting into one of the projects carries this brand. Notice that what you don't see on there is a whole lot of EDDMapS, a whole lot of Bugwood, a whole lot of anything mentioned there. It's because we're working behind the scenes with these partners, so this becomes a face they can use in their outreach programs. We're happy to be behind the scenes, supporting it all and keeping it going forward. You can always get to that again after you've gone to the project page, to your dashboard, to the left side where Manage Brand is found. And this brand gets used in different ways. This is an example from the ag side that I spent a lot of time on. Ag Pest Monitor. Here's a report for an alert somebody put in for where cucurbit downy mildew was going to be active. And they've got the criteria of their alert set up there. They wanted to know, bless them, anything within 3,000 miles of North Carolina. It's a pretty big range. And you see the report ID that triggered it. This is a report, an alert coming out from the cucurbit downy mildew project. It is using EDDMapS behind the scenes to generate these alerts. The same report generated this alert, branded to that particular program. The links in that email are to that program's website. These are the types of customizations we're working on with folks to better represent their outreach program and let EDDMapS just be the support behind it that's making things work. In working with users, we realize that everyone you want to add into your project may not need the same abilities, same functionality, or you may want to restrict who can do what. So we've provided user management, and you've seen some of this in the past. Previously, you've seen the ability to manage users individually, that you can add someone into a project and assign them roles, but we've also added in for this year, adding users in bulk. Because I can tell you with a bunch of the other projects, when you have 30 folks, you're all trying to get into one project, it can be time consuming trying to get all that information in and make sure they have accounts. So going back again to the project management page, here's where you have managing users. I can select a user if they already have an EDDMapS account. I can choose what role they're going to be in and add them into my project. If I don't find their account in that lookup, I click that plus button and it says, all right, do you want to make an account for them to help them out? There is an option there to notify the user that allows them to finish the setup of their account, set up their password, and know that they're part of this project. After people are already in the project, you have the options to remove them if needed or change their role through this interface here on the right. And that's made a little easier when you have a whole lot of people in a project. That search box you start typing will filter down to whatever you searched in that list, helping you find people a little faster. The new feature we've got now is right below manage users. We call it invite users. You've got a project with a whole bunch of folks and you want to get them enrolled pretty quickly. We've made it as simple as possible. One email address per line. Drop it into this box. When you hit submit on this, it's going to check to see if they're already in the project or not. If they're already in the project, it's going to let you know that. If they're not in the project, it's either going to send them an invite to join the account or send them something to create an account and then join the account, join the project, depending on their status. The email looks something like this. You've been invited to join a project. We provide details of the project, and here's where they can accept that invite. Again, working to streamline getting people enrolled into a project and be part of it. Once you have those requests invited out, you then get a status of who is accepted, which ones are pending, which ones have been rejected. So you have a good idea in your efforts who's been joining in and how those invites actually went. And those statuses update as different folks are going to be choosing those options. Now that you've got all these users and different people interested in what you're doing, perhaps even signing up for alerts where they've said, I want to know when there's new reports coming in this project. We have different ways that you can reach out to them to let them know what's going on in the project. And this goes beyond the automated messages that we have for alerts when reports go in. It goes to messages that you can configure and type in what you want to send to them. For this functionality, again, this menu is getting longer with the options for the project. Contact my users. I've got a field here at the top that I can start typing in and looking for which groups I want to look at. I've got administrators, the users, the people in different project roles, but I have anyone that's ever reported into the project. I'd like to contact them. Or I have people that have signed up for alerts that we know they signed up through the project. They're receiving things by our brand. I'd like to let them know what's going on. After that's been selected, we tell you, all right, you're about to send an email to this number of users. What do you want to fill out? You've got your subject line, you've got your message body. It's just like composing an email. This is just helping you manage those lists of people who have been interested in your project or participated. We're also taking steps in the project promotion. We've been receiving requests from folks that really want to get into, I've got something I'm doing, I'm just starting up my effort, but I need a place, I don't have a full website. I want somewhere just to promote what's going on here and maybe let people find me. So we're providing project promotion pages that are still in development that you can recruit new members, raise awareness of it, and provide a contact. Here's an example of what these are going to look like, providing the name for the project right across the top, a nice description of what they're working on, and in this case, here's a sample visualization of what they've been doing. It's showing different sites they've been monitoring within the California area, looking for armyworm. If someone wants to, they could ask to join the project because this one's trying to recruit citizen science of more armyworm reporting sites, or contact the administrators and ask more about the project. It provides those point of contacts without necessarily putting your email first and foremost up on the screen, which some of us don't like spam, so we try to keep our email off as many things as possible. and a way to keep that all together. After we've gotten your project set up, you've got your branding, you've got your people added to it, now is where we get into bringing that data in. Currently, we have a few different routes for data to come in. We've always had web-based reporting. And with that web-based reporting, we've said, all right, this report form they're using and embedding into their website or using on one of ours has a project associated with it. That functionality has existed for a long time and continues to exist. It does require some setup on our side. What we are doing now is working it out into the smartphone apps, so you can actually include project when you're making a report. On Android, this is currently available for EDDMapS Pro, and you're going to be seeing the same functionality coming out for iOS. You'll also be seeing it in the main EDDMapS app. Functionality is fairly straightforward, that you're going into your app settings, you're going to see a new section in there which has your state list, subject list, and project list. These are things you set up ahead of time, projects you're a part of, subjects you've wanted to have on your species list. It's what you're already doing when you set up EDDMapS Pro before you go out in the field. That refresh project list is a new option. It lets us know what projects you're a part of. When you then go in to make a report, you're getting not only what was in your particular species list, but if I've assigned species to be part of a project, those are now showing up in this list of species. So it's a way to make sure everyone's on the same page in a project focusing on just a handful of species. From there, I'm going to make a report, in this case of soybean rust. It automatically selected the soybean IPM pipe project as the one this report's going to go into. That's because it looked up and said, hey, this soybean IPM pipe project has soybean rust as a reporting target. I'm going to go ahead and select that just so my user already is in the project that they already are part of, and this is likely what they want. If that's not what you want, because some projects don't have a list of species or multiple projects are reporting stuff for soybean rust, you can then click that drop down and you get a list of the different species that are the different projects that are accepting data for that project. So as simple as we could possibly make it, putting the project right into the reporting form and a little bit of logic to make sure we're selecting the right things. Additional project features that are in progress that we're working on, we realize with all the stuff we're releasing, people want to know how much it's being used. If I send out an email to a group, I want to know who received it. I want to know we're not just sending emails that are bouncing back. So we're working on providing the analytics for those project alerts, knowing how far your awareness campaign is going, how far your communications do go out, and providing that to you over time, and doing a better job of integrating this with social media. We know that's one of the avenues a lot of our groups use for raising awareness. So how do I quickly take a map that's been generated and share that via social media? How do I take our dashboard of recent reports and share that out in an easy way that still aligns with what your other efforts are? So with that, I'll go